Hey, everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we are so excited to be here with you tonight. I think it's been honestly like a week or two since we've been here, but we have been out enjoying summer and preparing for camping and all kinds of good stuff. So I think we've shared a few of our camping trips with you so far this summer. And I don't think I've shared very much from this past weekend yet, but we went to the Dells. I think that's why it was a little bit
surprised.
less.
Emily was taking more pictures than she was looking around. I can't believe you haven't shared those.
Well, I was going to say it was less naturey than normal, but I guess that's not true because we went to do all of the nature touristy stuff. Is that a thing? So we went on, it wasn't a duck ride, it was a boat ride, but because we wanted to go and see the Witches Gulch. So if anyone's familiar with the Wisconsin Dells, it was a pretty awesome thing to do. And see, all kinds of things that they have going on down there. So the camping and all of that. But I have to say that I have been hearing such mixed reports as far as fishing goes. At this point, depending on where you are, north or south of, I guess, us, where we are in Wisconsin, there are people that some of these fish are really pushing into these fall temperatures and the chew is on and they are in the places that you expect. But there are other places, and I think especially south, where fish are still kind of reacting like it's cold fronts coming through instead of preparing for that fall bite. So interesting patterns going on. And as far as what we are going to see, honestly, I'm not even really sure because I'm not really sure where to even expect water temps right now.
Well, I was on the water this week for work, and they were, as of yesterday, they were still sitting at that low to mid 60s. So we haven't quite breached that, low 60 and upper 50s, low 50s, that kind of fall stuff yet. But one thing I was thinking about as I was using every single battery for my leaf blower was that something that I don't think gets talked about enough during the fall is that as much as there is such a good bite, these first few weeks when all these leaves are falling into the water, that can make it really difficult to fish. Not only physically, because you have a lot of suspended vegetation that isn't grounded. It's just floating around. So you're having to cast through a lot of those leaf mats or whatever floating through. But that also messes with the fish a little bit, especially stuff like panfish, where you're grouping up. They're a little skittish anyways because stuff is trying to pick them off left and right, getting ready for fall. So just keep that in mind. But if you find those areas where you have wind-blown sides of the lakes, or you have little coves where the leaves kind of have eddied in there, that can be a really great place to throw some smaller baits or even some medium baits along the edges. And as long as you don't get it in the leaves, if you don't get it in the leaves, sometimes those fish are using that as cover. So just keep that in mind. Be flexible this time of year. Keep an eye on the water temps, and it'll be good. Good stuff is coming.
Well, and you joke about throw a small bait, throw a medium bait, and I joked and said throw a big bait. But I think that is one of the best things is if you are able to share your boat with somebody else. So like Josh and I go out, and a lot of times you will use a bigger bait than I do. And so it is always really great to be able to mix that up and see what the fish are biting on. Because as we come into fall, sometimes sometimes you'll be shocked what you catch fish on. I don't know, it's just that's always a lot of fun to catch fish on big bait. So
yes, it is.
'Tis the season.
'Tis the season.
With that, I guess being fall, we're seeing the sunset quite a bit sooner now. It feels like it gets dark really early now, actually. But we have a guest who can help solve some of those issues. So let's bring him in. Tom, thanks so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Very honored to be here and very grateful to be here. So thank you.
And we are so excited to meet you. And I have to say, I was laughing because I was watching you as you were resetting up from when we talked last. But I do really like how you set up, and that's a perfect way to show off what you have here.
Thank you. Yeah, I was, as you were talking, I'm like, I'm talking about a finger light. Nobody knows what it is. So let's darken the room a little bit. I've got my trusty little ring light here to give me a little bit of ambiance. But yeah, I'm glad it looks good. And I have to say, I don't mind confessing, this is my first official podcast. So if I make any rookie mistakes, maybe you guys will forgive me.
Absolutely.
No, you're doing great so far. So before we dive in too far, I guess, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Tom Mitchell. I've been married for 32 years. I've got 3 sons, 3 daughter-in-laws, 5 grandchildren. I live here in Missouri. I've been a bow hunter since I was about 11 years old. Took my first deer with a bow when I was 12 years old in 1977. So now you know how old I am. And I've been in business for about 25 years. I founded a medical device company back in 2003. Actually one before that. And my company Spine Source launched several novel spinal implant fusion systems throughout the United States that changed the way spine surgeons perform spine surgery. And those devices became standards of care for treating patients with spinal disorders. But I've been a bow hunter my whole life. I have a farm in Northeast Missouri where my sons and I hunt, and we manage it for white-tailed deer, turkey. We even have quail have come back now, as well as many more rabbits, thankfully to some predator management. And I always thought over the past 10 years or so, it'd be great to do something in the outdoors community with a good product, but I didn't have the product. So I founded this company with my sons, Ben Mitchell, who was a U.S. Marine Corps officer. Got him home from the Marine Corps. I was very happy and honored that he was serving our country as a Marine Corps officer. But of course, we wanted him home with his brothers and our grandchildren. So he and his wife moved back in 2022. We founded our company, Wild M Brands, and I found this device that was invented for surgery, for surgeons to look deep into a pelvis or under a chest cavity where the OR lights would not go. But when I saw the device, I thought, this would be very handy for me as a bow hunter because I don't like wearing headlamps. I never have liked wearing headlamps. They're bulky. I can never find them. I don't need that much light. I just need light that's fast, easy, and quick. So I called the inventor, a surgeon, and I said, look, I know you made this for surgery, but I'd like to make these for hunting. And he's like, well, it just so happens we're looking for somebody to license our patent. So we licensed the patent from him worldwide in perpetuity, which is forever, exclusively. And my sons and I built this device, the Dex Fingerlight. And it was very difficult. No one's ever made a device like this, meaning a bendable ring. So what's nice about this is this ring is the patent, and that allows you to fit it on any finger over a glove very quickly, very easily, under the hand, on top of the hand. I like to wear it on the side of my index finger because I can easily depress it with my thumb. So I started using the prototypes as we were developing it. And I was very surprised how handy it was, mainly because of how convenient it is over a headlamp. And then I noticed that I could hide it under my hand. So when I'm navigating to my tree stand, I can hide the light and only direct it where I want it to go. And theoretically, that helps reduce the pressure on the animals. I tend to try to bow hunt the most mature buck on my farm. And it's very important not to pressure a mature buck, either with scent or any kind of human intrusion. So I found this extremely helpful, much safer, because I quit using light altogether because of the fact I did not want to intrude on the forest and the fields. So I would climb my tree stands in darkness, but oftentimes I would find myself holding a flashlight in my mouth because I needed some light. And that was never fun or convenient. I've had some friends tell me of their stories about chipping their teeth holding flashlights in their mouths. So anyway, that's the kind of the short of the long story. We launched the Dex Fingerlight at fingerlight.com on our website. We launched it on Amazon in April. And within 4 weeks, we were the hottest new release on Amazon for hands-free lighting. And so far, so good. It's been a grind, extremely difficult to convince people to part with their hard-earned cash with a 20-second Facebook or Instagram ad. But we're getting there. And we have found a product market fit with the hunting and fishing community, as well as aviation. Aviators have, in fact, used finger lights in the past, but the ones they use are junk, including the U.S. military fighter pilots use finger lights. So we're going to hopefully branch off into the military at some point. And that's kind of the short story.
Hey, Eric.
I think that is so cool when people have, other interests or hobbies or careers, and they find, devices and they use that for inspiration for, the outdoors. And I think that it is so cool that you guys came up with this idea and that you just happened to find that the patent was available. Like, that is so super cool.
It really is, if you don't mind me saying it, God's amazing grace.
Yeah.
But like every blessing in life, there's also curses. And the curse is that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk. We have invested about 1.6 million to get here. Getting into the electronic hardware space with something like this, that's this unique, is not inexpensive. To make it, to design it, to ship it, to package it, to perfect it. And when I say perfection, again, a blessing and a curse. I am somewhat of a perfectionist. This ring was extremely difficult. So it's a copper core, and we wanted it to withstand at least 4,000 bends before it broke. The first time we tested the first prototype, it broke after 435 bends. So we hired a scientific metallurgist who did what's called finite element analysis on this copper core ring on computer models. And he came up with the best design that would withstand multiple bends. And then we tested that, and then we made prototypes and encased them in this soft TPU and built a custom robot that we call BendBot. And that robot sat there and bent this over and over and over again. And then we got up to about 1,000 bends, and then 1,500 bends. Eventually, we found a design that is manufacturable, meaning that you have to put the copper inside the mold. So there's a big stainless steel mold. They put the copper band in the mold, and then they inject this hot TPU around that band. But when we were injecting that hot TPU, it was moving the copper. So we kept getting, our first productions were showing exposed copper. So that took 2 or 3 months, that alone, just to perfect. So we have perfected it. And this ring I've been wearing for months. It still holds the same form. We've had less than 1% of customers return the product. We've had no product break. We give it a lifetime warranty. And it's all part of the perfection that we've chosen to make a quality, durable device that, by the way, is waterproof. Something else we exceeded our expectations. We wanted to get what's called IP5 waterproof. And IP5 waterproof means you can splash water on it. But when we finished making this, it was so airtight and watertight that we threw it into a bucket, and it sat there for 2 hours on. So I said, let's test this for IPX7 waterproof. And we achieved that through a world-renowned lab testing facility and surpassed all of our durability requirements. So it's a quality device. It's built to last. It's built to withstand the rugged conditions of fishing and hunting and other uses. And so that's kind of the story on the production side as well.
Okay. And so can you give us a little walkthrough? Because I know, there's multiple modes, and I see you turn it on and off. Can you give us a walkthrough of how it works?
Well, I think I'll start with the fast, easy, and convenient side. The way it works is you can put this on any finger, any thumb, any position, 15 various positions on one hand. If I'm using tools, I put it on the top of my thumb, and I can depress it with my index finger. If I want to wear it on my ring finger, it's very comfortable there. It's really comfortable on all the fingers, but the ring finger is really nice. You forget that it's there, but you have to press it with your other hand. And to get down to the technical aspects of it, as I said earlier, we have this bendable ring. We call it Griptonite. And that's a term we came up with because it grips very firmly yet comfortably, and it's very durable. So the Griptonite ring is really the key because you can wear it, like I say, on any finger, any thumb, over a glove, or attach it to a structure, attach it to a piece of gear, and you could even hold it in your mouth if you needed to. I sometimes will attach it to my clothing through a buttonhole. The light modes are dim, bright, and green. So 3 light modes. You get 2.5 hours of runtime on the dim. You get 45 minutes of runtime on the bright, and you get 2 hours and 15 minutes on the green. It's rechargeable. So you've got a little port back here, the standard USB-C port, which is the world standard now. Thank you, Europe. Europe required that Apple and Android go to one standard charging port. So everybody has USB-C now worldwide. And that's really the gist of it. There's other features in here, such as battery level indicators. You can't see them. They're under this pigment on the top housing. But once it starts going low in battery, that will turn red. And then when you plug it in to charge it, it'll blink white. So you know that it's actively charging. See if I can demo that for you. Do you see the pigment?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's fully charged, it'll turn to a solid green. And we even kept in mind people who are colorblind, because if you're colorblind and you see a light on while you're wearing it, you know it needs a charge. And if it's blinking, you know that it's charging. You don't need a color for that. And then if it's plugged in a solid light, then you know it's fully charged. It has mode memory. So what mode memory means is that once I leave this on for 3 seconds, I can turn it off and it'll come back to the same mode. I don't have to cycle through the modes to turn it on or off, but it has to be on for at least 3 seconds. So that's something we may change and shorten that delay in the transistor inside the electronics to where it's 1 second. That way you can do quick bursts. See, if I do quick burst, I do in fact have to cycle through the modes. It's very bright. Let me turn this off so I can show you some of the brightness on it. Just unplug that. So let's see. I don't know if you can see that. That's the dim. This is the bright. So you can see it really lightens up. There's my little buck. Really lightens up a room. The beam on the bright cast out to 36 feet. So you can see blood trail with it if you needed to. Do your handle all your gear inside your boat. I'm plug in my light again so you can see me. And we've had fishermen use this. They say that it's good for handling gear in their boat because oftentimes they have to crane their necks around, look deep into an area of their boat or look inside their tackle box. You don't want to always be craning your neck with a headlamp on. And of course, you don't want to have to hold the flashlight because you're handling fishing poles and gear and everything else. So it's new. It's a new category. And our intention is to build an entire new category of wearable lighting, which frankly, the wearable lighting category has truly not been innovated since 1915 when Thomas Edison invented the headlamp for miners back in the day. So that's something we're very proud of. We built a really good quality product and the customers love it. We get a lot of great reviews on Amazon, on our own website, on Google as well. But more than that, just the people we talk to, the customers we talk to, the people who have bought it and the use cases they come up with. We're like, we never thought about using it to nurse babies at night. And we had a customer in New York bought 2, and he sent me an email through our support line and just was commending us on such a great device. I said, well, you're in New York. Are you a hunter? I'm like, what are you hunting in Brooklyn? He said, well, my wife and I use it to take care of our babies. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. I said, what did you use before? And he said, we use our cell phone light. And we have found through our research that people do use their cell phone light, but they don't like using it. It's inconvenient. You have to find the app. It drains the battery, and you can't use your phone while you're using a cell phone light. So we found a really good market fit as well with HVAC technicians. They tend to use their cell phone lights when they're deep in the caverns of a furnace or an air conditioner or a water heater. So we've had HVAC technicians buy these and they love them because they can get into those tight spots and take care of their business and look for, quite frankly, a lot of them say they have to look for bugs a lot, spiders especially. So it comes in handy for that. So we'll see, it's a huge opportunity for us to build the category, but we have to focus. And right now we're focused on the outdoors community, fishing anglers, hunters, campers, and we're also focused on general aviation, primarily helicopter pilots. We received a large order from the UK Wales National Police Aviation Service. They ordered 75 units for all their helicopter pilots and their air crew in the UK. So we were really excited about that. So we had to get what's called the CE mark for that. So we now have distribution in Europe, and that's not really common for a small startup company, but we really, our patents are good worldwide. We have 3 patents now We're pending in 42 different countries, including Europe, Canada, Mexico, and China. And yeah, that's it. One last little caveat I'm very proud of as well is we already had a knockoff come out, and they were selling their product on Amazon. And we took the case to Amazon, gave them the rationale why they violated our patent. And long story short, they delisted them. It's a company that was drop shipping product into the United States from China, violating our patents, and we got them kicked out. So we were very happy about that.
That's awesome. Sitting here listening to you describe all the uses and and kind of the process that you went through developing this, I'm going through in my head all of the applications that that I would use it for. And we have our own here, and so we've been playing around with it, and I really do like the fact that you can hold it inside of your hand. And one thing that I'm really excited to use it for is for like springtime fishing. So springtime fishing is a lot like now where we have short daylight hours, but for Emily and I, that means we're using a lot more treble hooks, a lot more crankbaits. And I know a lot of our listeners and our viewers commonly use a lot of crankbaits, but that's kind of foreign to us, except for the springtime. And so when you mix 6 different hook points, a large fish, and darkness, it's really a sketchy situation. And so, I wear safety glasses when we're fishing. We try and communicate, but this will really help getting those hooks out, seeing what's going on without worrying about like a headlamp falling off. Because like you said, that technology hasn't really been innovated on, and my straps are starting to stretch out because they don't like the light itself doesn't really wear out. It's the other components, and then they're kind of a useless light that I almost have to use as just like a flashlight in and of itself. It doesn't really stay on my head anymore. So this will be really cool for that. But
I thought you were just going to ask for like a lighted net that you were going to put this on, strap it on.
Well, I mean, you can do that too. There's that possibility, but I was going to move into the present, going into the future. Ice fishing, this is going to be really handy. We often, when it gets dark at 4:00 for us, it'll be handy picking up in the dark, because otherwise we have, and it's not that big of a deal, but otherwise we have to move our big lights around so you can light up a big area. This way you can, we can go around, we can just pick stuff up, make sure the stuff is hooked correctly, without having to really think about it. It's just on your hand pretty much the whole day. You can put it around your glove. We like to use those stealth gloves from Strikers, so those fit really nicely anyways. But this will fit right over the top of that. So there's all these. I'm just sitting here thinking of all these uses for it.
We came up with, I think we're up to about 241 different use case scenarios. Now, some of those use cases you can use any light, but there are certain situations where a headlamp or even a handheld light just won't work. Oddly, we had a bulk order. Well, we had a multi-pack order on our website at fingerlight.com and last week, and it was a guy who owns a chimney sweep company, and it never crossed my mind. Whoa, chimney sweeps! Talk about craning your neck, and you don't want to look up into a chimney with your head under the chimney because things fall on it like ashes. So yeah, there's so many uses. But getting back to the fishing. We have had I'll say fishermen, but fishing anglers, because women fish too, right, Emily? Fishing anglers buy it, and they have called us or they've contacted us, or they say they love it. And I always say, well, why do you love it? And they tell me why. I say, well, why wouldn't you just use a headlamp? Because I learn every time one person buys one, and the feedback has been that the headlamps draw insects to their face. That's something else we had not even considered. Mm-hmm. So that's a big plus. Nobody likes to eat insects unless you're really hungry, I guess, right? And then another thing is they're usually fishing with someone else. So they'll say to their friend, hand me those worms. And you look at your friend and you blind your friend when you look at them with a headlamp on. Yep. So it's got some real benefits there, but people don't think about those things. So when we do our ads and we promoting the product, we have to remind people, here's the problem you have that you don't know you have. and would you consider the Fingerlite as a good option at fingerlite.com? And we get a lot of, let's just say, interesting comments on social media. And I laugh at some, but some I'll answer respectfully if they ask a respectful question and give them a respectful answer. But with the fishing community, I think, to your point, everything you mentioned, including the ice fishing. I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago up in your neck of the woods in Eau Claire, and they were talking about ice fishing. And something else I didn't know is you have a glow worm. Is that right? You want the worm to glow underwater?
Yeah, so a lot of our lures actually have glow paint on it. So whether that's the plastic bait itself or the jig, or the hard body bait, there's a lot of times something that's become really popular is something called a power box. And those have been like basement manufactured for a while. There's a few pretty awesome companies actually in the Midwest that assemble them for you, but a lot of times they'll come with something called a glow cup, and it's just some LED strip that's ran on the inside of a plastic cup where you turn the button on and you stick your jig or your lure inside of it and it glows it up. With this, you wouldn't have to do the cup. You could just put it in your hand for a few seconds and then put it down the hole. So that would be a really good benefit for this too, because a lot of times, especially up here in Wisconsin, we can have 3 lines apiece. And so to carry that box around to go check all of your stuff just to glow your jig or whatever you're doing, that's a little bit cumbersome. We're used to cumbersome things, we're ice fishing. Basically our whole winter is just dragging stuff around in a sled, right? But when you can take those
living. Go ahead. Yeah.
But you can take those little advantages where you can in this light in your hand, when you can just go check your rod, reel it up quick, put your hand around it, and then put it back down the hole really quick and go on to the next one. I think that's a big advantage in keeping stuff light, because that's been a thing that's been perpetuated in ice fishing. How can I lessen the amount of weight, more portable? That's what the big the rhetoric is in ice fishing right now, and so this plays right into that.
Making notes, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
Would you call that a glow cup?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So people buy this specifically to make their lures glow?
Yeah, they can. There is specific ones. I know the company Rapala has like a case that you can get. But a lot of times the glow cup is integrated into these boxes. So
I see.
If you can imagine like a plastic ammo can type thing that people will put switches on, and they'll put like a 12 volt thing for like a car port, or they'll put like USB chargers, and then on the top they'll insert like a 3D printed cup, and they'll just glue that LED strip on the inside and have a switch for it. So it's all integrated into your power box, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll research that. I mean, I think that's I'm always thinking, okay, obviously we have the hunting season now, and of course, as you mentioned, the days are getting shorter, so that's good for a flashlight company.
Yeah.
Although we don't really consider this a flashlight. It's better than a flashlight.
Yeah.
But we're always thinking, okay, what can we do in January, February, March? And I think we should definitely try to appeal to that audience of ice fisher people.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to have that glow cup or those devices, but then you can't use it for anything else. Whereas this, you use it for that and looking in your pack and looking in your tackle box and looking at your gear and untangling line or what have you. So man, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good angle right there. Pretty good angle. No pun intended.
Well, Emily and I often talk about things that you can continue to use from season to season, right? It really stretches the money that you do spend on your gear. It's hard, especially up here when you have 2 distinct seasons. You have to buy double the amount of fishing stuff. Granted, I could go out and fish with like my panhandler from JT out on the ice. Some people might like that because they're weird, but you have to buy separate ice rods. You have to buy, an ice shack. You have to buy all kinds of stuff. And then that stuff doesn't necessarily translate to when the water thaws. But there's instances like, the AquaView or, some of our striker gear or or things like that that'll translate over in from ice fishing over to open water. And this is one of those products that does that, but also covers multiple different hobbies.
Yeah, we had just launched last spring, so we did some appeal, excuse me, some appealing to those, excuse me, some appealing to those audiences in the fishing world. Turkey hunting as well, did pretty well there, but we were so new. I mean, our conversion rate, you know, a conversion rate on a website is a term used in metrics that how many people see your brand somewhere, how many people go to your website, and what percentage of those people go to your website and actually make a purchase. Guess where we were in June on how many people we converted? 0.22% in June. We hit 10% yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're around 5% conversion rate so far for October. We were at 2.5% last month. That's really good, actually, for any brand that's e-commerce. And you know, I think eventually, and you mentioned something of the future. I don't know if your listeners want to hear what the future holds for us. First of all, nobody knows the future, of course, but we think we want to get into retail at some point. Not now. We've not proven ourselves yet. And once we prove ourselves, like I mentioned on Amazon, we were ranked #1 hot new release. That's a pretty big deal on Amazon. And, you know, we've tested it in small retailers, gun shops. We haven't tested any tackle stores yet. Maybe we should do that for ice fishing. But we're really focused on e-commerce at this point. We have had requests for a red light. So a lot of times aviators, hunters, they want red light. But we went with green. It doesn't look real green in your video or even on my face.
Here it does a little bit. Yeah,
it's
here,
green.
yeah.
But it's a nice green light. Green light does protect night vision. Now, scientifically, a red light will protect your night vision a little bit better. But I promise you, nobody's crashed an airplane because they were using a green light, and nobody has tripped over a log because they couldn't see after they turned their green light off. A green light is much better for the human. The green light gives you, as a human, much better visibility than a red light. And we have seen that on different comments on social media, and we found that in our research. So we didn't research fishing anglers, but we did research hunters. And we found that hunters preferred a green light over red 2-to-1, almost 3-to-1, green over red. And they actually preferred a dim white light over red. And we asked them, well, why do you prefer that? And they simply said, because I can see better. Because with a red light, you can't see very well. You can't see what the object is. Is it a rock? Is it a ditch? Is it a log? Is it a possum? And green light gives you that better visibility. All that being said, I realized pretty quickly we probably should have made a red light because it doesn't matter what we say. It's what the customer wants. And I want happy customers because at the end of the day, everybody on this entire planet is selling one thing. Do you know what that one thing is that they're selling?
You guess.
The outdoor experience.
It's kind of related to that. Everyone is selling happiness.
I
They
almost
want you
said
to-
hope.
I was
didn't
gonna
know that
say
was too hokey.
Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope. Yeah. Hope is a good one. But everybody wants happy. And I'm big into customer service. I don't care what we think. It doesn't matter. It matters what the customer thinks. And so all that being said, we will most likely have a red light version because we want happy customers. And we think we could probably increase our revenues with red, but we're not sure. You know, a lot of times people will say, well, if you had a red light, I'd buy one. And you make one, they said, well, I don't really need that anymore. You know, so it's really not inexpensive for us to change this over, not change it, but to add another SKU. But I'd say it's most likely we'll have a red light at some point next year. But the green light really offers so many more advantages. Another reason why red light is more common than green is if you go back to the 1990s and the early 2000s, red LEDs were much less expensive to produce than green LEDs. And over time, the green LED light became equal to in production cost to a red LED light. So now you're seeing gun companies not doing red dot scopes, they're doing green light scopes. not scopes, I'm sorry, but red dot sights. They're doing green dot sights. And the reason is you can see green better. So the argument is the guy on Facebook would beat me up and say, well, that's why I want a red light because, the deer can't see it. Well, deer see movement and they don't see color, of course. Well, their eyes tend to see a yellow-green spectrum a little bit better than a red spectrum. But at what trade-off? You have to see. Safety is number one. I always lifeline in when I go up to a tree stand. A neighbor of mine died in 2018 falling out of his tree stand. And when that happened, we put lifelines on all of our tree stands. So safety really needs to be paramount. And I was compromising my safety for a long time as a hunter, not just with the lifelines, but by walking in darkness, so to speak, back and forth during my night hunts because I don't want to pressure the animals. And I do everything I can to increase my chances to keep that animal relaxed and keep that animal close to where I know I'm going to hunt that buck in this situation. But anyway, that's kind of the story of the green and the red light. We've had some requests from mechanics to make a UV light. So the UV light would provide them the ability to see leaks deep inside an engine, but we'll see about that one. And then we've had other requests for different people wanting a dimmer switch. So instead of just having 3 light modes, you would have unlimited light modes. So I could take this and just hold the button down and dim it to whatever I wanted it to be. So,
I don't need that many options.
yeah, well, that's a really good point you bring up, Emily, because a lot of hardware companies, now I'm a rookie at this, they make that mistake. And maybe we made that mistake, but I wanted to build a quality product. But the mistake is they build too many features into their device. And those are nice, and those are nice bells and whistles. But that request for a dimming switch has come primarily from our military fighter jet pilots. So they really need the perfect green light for their night vision goggles. So that's where that request had come from. We've had requests for people to put in a GPS tracker because a lot of people are like, this thing's so small, I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. And we've had people lose them. And people lose flashlights all the time. And they want a GPS tracker in it. I'm like, well, that'd be another $10 on the selling cost. So, and it'd be nice, though, because then we have an app. And if we have an app, we can track you. Everybody, we all love to be tracked by companies, right? So yeah, we'll see what the future holds. But right now, we're in the thick of it. We've sold about 1,500 units so far since we launched in March, which I don't really know if that's good or bad, but I'll take it. But the main thing is we're growing month after month after month in the acceptance, and it takes time for people to trust us. And I was very concerned when we first launched that our pre-order campaign went crazy. We sold a whole bunch during the pre-order, but those were people that we had hyped up over the months prior, people we knew really. And I was really concerned in April when we just saw a couple sales. One, I'm like, this thing is dead. And then we put it on Amazon and it took off. And I said, okay, that's the trick. People trust Amazon. They don't trust fingerlight.com yet, but they will, thankfully, to programs like this one. So we'll see. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of that future. And we'll see what the future holds. But it's a grind. And I literally have to take it sometimes 15 minutes at a time because of the grind that it is entailed to figure out our customers and to find our customers. And one thing I've realized is I'm not in the finger light business. I'm in the consumer psychology video production business.
Yeah.
And if we figure out the minds of our customers and make a video that gets their attention within 3 seconds, we have 3 seconds to get their attention. And then we have another maybe 8 to 12 seconds to hold that attention and to get them to say, shop now. If we can do that, and we're starting to do that, then we'll do very well. But we're in the perfect time of year, hunting, Christmas gift giving. This is the perfect gift for really anyone, especially the hunter or the fishing angler, but even the elderly. We've had several elderly show interest in the product, but they don't want to pay the $39.99 that it sells for. And by the way, it's on sale right now, so take advantage. They don't want to pay that. They want to pay $19.95. So we would eventually make one for that market segment for the everyday user, so they can read their labels. They can shop and read labels while they're shopping. They can go to the bathroom 6 times a night. I'm 60 now. I don't go to the bathroom that many times, but soon. So I think eventually we'll make a whole family of finger lights somewhat like Yeti did. Yeti started with one cooler, and now look at them. They're a $4 billion brand. No, I don't think we'll ever be that, but you never know, right? So, so that's the plan, but it's all in the good hands of the Lord, and we just show up and do our best and try to make people happy by doing the right thing the right way, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, speaking to your last point and having the one category and then being able to expand into the future, if I know anything about anything ice fishing related, if you have multiple colors, you will have multiple different customers, because for some guy it's gonna be, oh, I don't like the black, and then you make a green one and they're like, well, that's mine now, and that's all it took for them to take that sale. Pink's always a good one. But one thing, you did say something about somebody like, oh, I lost mine. It did bring something to my thought process, that like a blaze orange. I know that's something that is really popular around here, even during bow season. People like to have their blaze orange gloves and stuff like that, the stuff that they tuck away when they're up in the stands, but then if they drop it, they can find it. That would probably be my biggest thing, like a customer catcher.
What do you think, Emily? Would you like a pink one? Pink camo?
Yeah, I bet people would. To be honest, I'm fond of the black.
Well, so let me speak to that a little bit. We went with the black because it looks good. Okay. Yes. It's sleek. It looks modern. It looks high tech, and it is high tech. I mean, like I say, no one's ever made a finger mounted illumination device with this kind of kryptonite ring, which, by the way, if you don't mind, I'll plug fingerlight.com one last time. But yeah, we do intend to make other colors. We certainly have considered orange, blaze orange. We've considered camo, which camo sells, but if you drop it in the woods, it's gonna be even harder to find, right? Yep. So, but yeah, I think blaze orange would be something for the future. And we've not really tapped into the female market too much. We're attempting to do that a little bit. We're going to try to tap into that market a little bit during the Christmas season for shopping, for other, gift giving. But yeah, we'll see about the pink. Maybe do pink camo. Maybe that'll go. I don't know. But yeah, for now it's all black, and I think eventually we would do maybe a desert tan, because that looks cool as well. Mm-hmm. And then the blaze orange. I think the blaze orange personally would be a good idea, but the problem with good ideas that I have, they cost money. And you don't have to take risk anymore. You just don't. You can test things. We could literally do what's called A/B testing on e-commerce. And we didn't do it because I didn't want to put this out there, because you're really lying to the customer. You put a landing page out there of an orange Dex finger light, and people order it, and you say it's on back order because you never really had them. Now, we're not going to do that. We would just go make 500 units in orange and test it and see how well it sells. But you don't have to go make thousands and thousands of units, because someone may say, I can't stand that orange. It looks so ugly on my hand. Mm-hmm. So no, that's a good input, and I appreciate that very much. But new colors would certainly be something that we would do.
Awesome.
Well, and I love that you talked about Christmas, because that is coming up, and no matter what kind of an outdoorsman or have in your life, this is probably something that they don't have yet. And I think that's one of the troubles that people really come across is, I know an angler, but they already have everything. And this is one of those things that they don't.
That's right. They don't have this yet. And I think it's a great gift to give people. It will fit in a stocking. So it's a good stocking stuffer. It's on the higher end. Like I say, $39.99. You can buy bundles at a much lower price than that per unit. But yeah, I think it's a great gift. And I think we're very excited about the Christmas season. Again, something else I'm personally committed to is we're not going to start promoting Christmas until the day after Halloween. Yeah. I mean, I'm walking through, I won't say the retailer, but these big retailers, these home improvement stores, and they have Christmas trees out and big inflatable Santas, and it was Labor Day. I'm like, what?
No.
But seriously though, Christmas is a big deal. This is what I'm learning in this business, because a lot of these retailers, and they do 75% of all their business in 1 month between Black Friday and Christmas Day. 75%. So everything goes into Christmas for them in a lot of these retailers. So we'll be doing the same.
Cool.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to hearing more, and we're looking forward to hearing people's experiences because, you know, the more that people get out there and use this and other people see it, this is, I guess, I hope I mean this like in a kind way, but this is something that people are going to be jealous of, right? Because it's one of those things that, you know, you're not sure, will that work for me? But then you start to see it in action and use it and find all the uses for it. And it's one of those things you'll never turn back. So, you know, I know that sounds crazy, but it is so true. And so we cannot wait to hear about all of that.
Boy, you just preached to the choir right there. That's what we mind if I point my finger light at you? You deserve the bright setting, Emily. We need people to feel jealous that other people have this because that's when it becomes cool. Mm-hmm. And I'll use one case study, that's Yeti. Now, I will tell you, I own the Yeti tumblers. I will buy those because that keeps my coffee hot for hours. It's a much higher quality product. I do own a Yeti cooler because I do hunt in Montana every couple of years for elk, and I need it up at elk camp. But I didn't buy my Yeti cooler. I still refuse to pay $400 for a cooler. I used Amex points, so that came in handy for that cooler. But that's what Yeti did. Yeti struggled when they launched. Think about it. They're trying to convince somebody to spend $400 on a cooler that no one's ever heard of, that, by the way, weighs a lot, when they could go buy another brand for $60. How did they convince people to do that? They found one target audience. Do you know who it was?
No.
Overnight fishermen out of Galveston, Texas.
Oh.
They found overnight fishermen out of Galveston, Texas, went out for a week-long trip. They needed a cooler that was stronger and kept ice longer. And that became their slogan. 10 times stronger, keeps ice longer. And those fisher people from Galveston went out for those trips, and they found that they could keep their ice longer in their coolers. And then they developed their trademark video ad, which was a grizzly bear trying to tear apart a Yeti cooler. And the grizzly bear could not tear it apart. And that's what launched them into a scalability type business. And after 4 years, they were valued at $100 million. The brothers who founded the company sold out to a private equity firm for $100 million. They sold 2/3 of their company. And that private equity firm eventually took Yeti to the public market. They went public and started trading on the NASDAQ. And right after COVID, they had a valuation of $9 billion. And now they're around $4 billion. From two brothers that invented a cooler that just kept ice longer. That's it. It wasn't a new invention. It just made something better. And in many aspects, that's what we have.
Yeah.
It's a new invention. It's patented, but it's really just another light. But it makes it better because it's faster, more convenient. You know, I don't need a lot of light when I hunt. I just want a little bit of light, real fast, real quick. And that's what this is good for. And so we'll see if that message resonates.
You have something else in your benefit, though. I bet a grizzly bear would not destroy a finger light.
No, the grizzly bear would probably eat this. And
it would probably stay on the finger, though.
Good point. Yeah, the grizzly bear could take the whole hand with the finger light.
But it's waterproof, so it would still be working.
Like, it's one thing to lose a hand, but I lost my finger light. So I think we'd give a free finger light to anybody that lost their hand to a grizzly bear with the finger light.
There you go.
Okay. If you lost your hand to a grizzly bear, give me a call. So yeah, it's been a great ride so far. It really has been. And I want to thank you again for this wonderful opportunity. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, to be honest, no. I think that this is great. And thank you so much for making the time to be here to talk with us tonight.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I kept you entertained, and I was very honest with your answers. I don't know if anybody actually listened to me, but hopefully they did. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And you guys are really, really joyful people, and you were very gracious to offer this opportunity to me. So I really just want to thank you for allowing me on your show. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know that we'll bump into you again. And to the people at home, hopefully we will bump into you as well. I know there's still some time out on the water, but I know that show and expo season is coming up, and we always look forward to that as well. So looking forward to bring more information about those, and otherwise looking forward to seeing everyone on next week's edition of The Knife Fight.
Night, everyone.